Hey everyone, it's Areo here. It's my second video in the Path of Building guide series. So I've gotten quite a bit of feedback on my last video from some friends who said I was moving a bit fast, almost like a build guide. So what I'm going to do in this episode is go into depth about drawing your own tree and what to look out for as a general rule of thumb. So first off, what decisions to make. This is like the first area. I have a note this open this time for giving you like a general idea how the video is going to work, and this like sort of where I can look at and just see where we're at. So first off, what skill to use? There's like a lot of ways to find out about this. Like probably you already have an idea, or maybe you have a weapon you want to build around. You can always look at skill gems on Gamepedia, for example here, or you can look at fun skills, league starters, YouTube skill you want to see. Like Methel did a video on Tectonic Slam recently. Look for skill gems and see one you really like Consecrated Path, for example. Next, after you've decided which skill you want to play, you want to see which weapon type. This is not important for spells generally, but for attacks it's very important. So for example, Consecrated Path here has sword, axe, mace, staff, or unarmed, and you can decide on one of the weapon types and build around that. So what we got next? Ascendancy. Well, this is it. It all flows together in Path of Exile generally, but you want to look at the ascendancies and look for an ascendancy you really like, or that has something interesting or something you can build around that works really well with your build. And next up, fast, safe, or damage. Generally, you can cover two of these three areas. You want to be fast, you want to be tanky, or you want to have a lot of single target damage. There's obviously builds that can do all three things. Sometimes it requires gem swaps, or there's some trade-off. It's very hard to put this into like numbers, like 10 to 5 or whatever. But, it's just like general good rule of thumb to go for two of the three areas. I also mentioned trigger here. This is only really important for spells, for like stuff like cast and crit, because they scale quite a bit differently. You want more attack speed, for example, if you go on trigger, generally speaking, because you don't need cast speed, because all of your spells are based on your crit rate. Next up, where do you get offense and defense from? Defense is often ignored by new players, which can be very problematic. But let's talk about offense first. Generally speaking, there's crit, EO, and RT. So crit is obviously can be found in all areas of the tree almost. Like a lot of crit is here, there's some crit here, some crit here. A lot of crit for spells, especially in the north side of the tree. RT is here, Resolute Technique. Talked about this last time shortly. It has a lower ceiling than most builds, but it can ignore accuracy completely because you always hit, but you don't have any critical strikes. So there's the trade-off. Elemental Overload is only relevant for elemental builds. It means you don't have any crit multiplier, but if you crit, essentially, if you crit once every 8 seconds, you get 40% more elemental damage for all attacks or spells you use in that time. It's usually not very popular for attack builds because it's quite off the main attack areas, but you can still do it. It also requires accuracy still. So it's not that worth it for attack builds, but you can do it if you want to. Attack builds generally go crit or Resolute Technique, and spell builds either crit or Elemental Overload because they always hit, so they don't need to worry about accuracy. What layers of defense are there? Life VS, obviously, your baseline, your hit point pool, your effective life pool. Fortify for movement skills, usually. Endurance charge, very nice. Physical damage reduction or more if you're a Juggernaut or you're like a Chieftain. Ascendancy can give you also some very nice defenses, like Trickster gives you more reduced damage taken if you have used mana recently, for example. Or Jack has some extra defensive notes. Dodge, if you're east side of the tree, you can find it over here. It's also a defensive layer. Armor is quite good if you have a lot of it. It's still decent against lower enemy hits like trash mobs. Evasion, also a defensive layer obviously, and block. Generally you want to have at least 2 or 3 of these because only a big life pool on its own doesn't really do much. You still will get killed super easily. I also mentioned stun, freeze, bleed, and curse immunity here, but a lot of builds handle these with flasks and just ignore stun immunity or get like Brine King, Greater Pantheon for this. Sustain, this is also quite important, how you're going to keep up your life and your mana. Generally, there's Legion Region, there's other ways as well, but Legion Region are the main ways. Regen is always very nice to have. Leech is generally for attack builds more, but also spellcasters get it, for example for Warlord's Mark. But you should think about how to keep up your mana and your life. Bandit choice, I shortly mentioned it here, it doesn't really matter. There's not much choice to make. If you go crit, you go Areo. If you go anything else, you take the 2 passive points, generally speaking. Now, next one, utility. I'm going to mention this very shortly. Make sure you have attack speed always, even if you're a spellcaster, if you want to use a movement skill. Otherwise, you don't need it. But generally speaking, I'm using generally speaking a lot. All right. You want attack speed quite a lot. For attack builds, it also increases your damage. But even for spellcasters, there's like this hidden thing essentially, because if you have a lot of attack speed, you move faster. You're locked into a place for shorter time. And you can often position faster, so you have more effective damage over a longer period of time. Unless you play like a dot build, because then it doesn't really matter, damage over time build. AoE as well, if you can get it. A lot of attack builds travel over here, these nodes, because this is still a good area for attack builds. If you're spellcaster, you can get these as well, just to make your build feel better. What scales your damage in tree? Increased damage, obviously, always. Penetration if you're elemental in any form. Look out for these nodes if you can get them in an efficient manner. Attack cast speed, again, is obviously a more multiplier. Accuracy, if you are EO or you are crit and you're an attack build, you want accuracy. The only reason, like increased accuracy on tree, usually. Like try to get 200% maybe, as it's 100% increased. Accuracy is, you can ignore it if you're like a Deadeye with fast and deadly because it doubles your accuracy rating, or you're like a champion who can ignore accuracy altogether, basically. But if you are any other build, you want to get some increased accuracy on the tree. More multipliers is mostly irrelevant. It's only like relevant for non-ailment chaos over time builds, or like cold builds who recently got the non-ailment chaos damage over time and non-ailment cold damage over time multipliers, if you can get them. Otherwise, you can just ignore them, because most builds don't have more multipliers on the tree. Now, once you've decided basically all of this, you can find the areas of the tree which best suit your purpose. Generally speaking, spells can be found in these 3 areas, while attack builds can play in 5 areas. You can get into more specifics. For example, crit is more over here, like attack crit builds play more over here. There's some nodes here for melee over here, yes. But generally you want to stay in this area. If you spellcaster, you want to stay in this area. If you spell crit, like this area has very nice crit nodes, but there's some staff crit. If you go staff, for example, you go over here. So you should always look for the tree first. If you have like a weapon, you have all of this decided, you want to see which area of the tree has like really efficient nodes for you. And then find the most efficient way to grab the nodes to achieve your goal. So you find like, let's say 6 clusters which are very powerful, which lie in approximately the same area, and then you travel like the most efficient way. You should always consider this, because there's something called opportunity cost. If you have to travel 10 useless nodes to get the good cluster, it's often not worth it because it's 10 useless nodes. So you can take these away and invest like the 14 or 13 points that you would get out of it into other areas, get more utility, get more cast, attack speed, whatever, get another cluster that's maybe more efficient. So you should always check for the efficiency of a pathing. So after you've done this is essentially the process how you draw a tree. You probably want to, if you're an attack build, you want to put in a weapon just to see your increased damage and everything. So now let's go into applying this to Consecrated Path Chieftain we did last time, and I'm going to try to explain the thought process. I've reset the tree here, I'm sorry for the double click. Put the level to the approximated level 90. We can ignore the damage numbers and everything, band it to 2 passive points, because we're not going crit, we're going to go RT. I'm also going to go for 200 weapon. Let's just put in a serious disfavor now. This is, you can ignore this, I'm just putting this in. Oh, it's already in here. So the reason I'm putting it in here is just to see the damage numbers I would get. Not damage, but like the increased damage and attack speed for 200 weapons. The reason I'm going for 200 weapons is it has a very strong cluster here, for example, with Onslaught on kill. It has also some of the better bases and some efficient damage on the tree overall. I'm also going 200 over dual build. Dual building got pretty heavily nerfed because there's no more stat sticks. So I don't want to use 2 unique weapons or 2 really, really good rare weapons. I'm just going to go for 1 good 200 weapon. I don't want to use a shield either. I think I'm going to have enough defense. The reason why I'm going, my baseline is Consecrated Path. That's where I'm starting from. The reason why I'm going Marauder Chieftain is there's a lot of ways to play Consecrated Path, but let's say I want to play like a mix between, like we said here, I'm going to go mix between safe and fast. And I want to be like relatively cheap as well. This can also be a factor. So I'm going to go RT, Resolute Technique over here. No more evade chance. So the reason I'm going Chieftain is, I quite like these nodes. It also makes it possible really cheaply. You don't need to travel to Avatar Fire to go 100% fire conversion, meaning our damage scales with all of our physical and all of our increased fire damage. Oh, this is a very powerful node. It also gives you a chance to cover enemies in Ash, which is a more multiplier to take increased damage, and it also gives you some very nice defenses, some endurance charge generation, some more fire resistance. This is not so great, it just makes gearing cheaper and you get a lot of life regen here. So it's a very good mix between offense and defense, in my opinion anyways. So we know we want to go Resolute Technique and these nodes as well. What else? This cluster here, I look through the nodes and I see, wow, Lava Lash, that's a very powerful, notable. Fire penetration 8% and increased fire elemental damage with attacks. Powerful node. I want to get this as well. I also want to have some mana leech at least, but I will probably also get a little bit more leech rate over here. And I want to get the 6 endurance charges because they're going to be a big part of our defense. So here, here, and here. Maybe some more attack speed here and some AoE here because it's an AoE skill. So I know like I want to get this area probably, I want to go this area, I want to go this area, generally speaking, and I want to go over here. So let's get started. We have options between increased physical and attack speed or life. The reason why I'm traveling through here is because even if I traveled here, I would probably get these nodes later anyways, because they're quite nice for armor and life, as you can see here. But these nodes are not that great. If you just travel this way anyways and drop these nodes altogether, you can get another notable somewhere, which is obviously probably better than getting just these fairly bad nodes. They're not that great, so I would always recommend traveling through the life with attack builds, or even caster builds if you want to go a Marauder caster for some reason. Travel up here. These are very efficient physical damage nodes because we have to go up here. Why not just travel through here instead of traveling outside? Going to Resolute Technique because we want that, life and resists. Go over here, grab jewel sockets. Jewel sockets are very powerful. Generally speaking, 2 free pointers are always worth it because you can get a lot of different stats on jewels. If you can get the 3-stat jewels, it's mostly worth it to get in on 3-point jewels as well, unless you have like a really good cluster as an option. But depending on what you want, we're going to go into this in gearing in the next video. You can get even 4-point jewels if you can afford them. Get the onslaught node over here. Now we're really close to the fire pen node as well. Travel through here, get 2 very efficient life nodes again. Travel up north. Oh look, another endurance charge. Get the life here, travel through here. Again, we can travel the bottom road, but why not just go here? Only 110 strength nodes, which are generally not that great. And we can get more elemental damage here. Great. I'm gonna get the armor and life regen node as well. It's quite powerful defensively. And get the AoE over here. Great. Now we're pretty much finished up here. We could go over here, but let's see what else we need for now. Now I want to go down here as well. I could travel through the top, but I'm going to travel down through the bottom because this dexterity and this intelligence node helps us with our stat requirements. We're going to go up here. We're going to grab the attack speed here. 6% on average from these nodes. Quite nice. And get the life over here. We're going to go through here, get more life and attack speed. Life regen. Again, travel through the attack speed. And travel through the endurance charges here. Helps us with the duration. Again, you could travel through here as well, but I prefer like the little bit better duration. Go up here, get another life regen, another jewel socket. Again, jewel sockets are almost always worth it. At 2 pointers and 3 pointers. Go over here, grab the life mana leech. You would probably want this one as well, just for the higher maximum life leech rate. Oh, I've cancelled this one. Alright, now we are at 171% life, which is not that amazing yet. Oh, I've cancelled these as well. There we go. We probably want to invest the other points into either jewel sockets or life, because we're only at 171%. You want to go like for 200% if you can, especially on the west side of the tree. You can also get another Areo effect node here, which is quite nice. Let's get the jewel socket over here. Now we have 3 nodes left. There we go. This is a solid tree, I would say. We have 4 jewel sockets. We have I ticked endurance charges? Yes. We got the calculations. We have 166% fire, 359% physical. Again, they work together because we have pure physical to fire conversion. So both of these scale our damage and 14% general. So let's say around roundaboutish 550% increased damage, 540% increased damage, and 80% increased attack speed. This is a very solid base. You can always increase this from gear and from jewels. You want to look for at least 60% if you're in an attack build. If you can get 80%, 100% is already very nice. From your tree is a good baseline. And for RT, you generally want like 550% increased physical damage, 500, 550, 600% if you can get it. If you're physical, like 300, 400% is alright. Sorry, not if you're physical, if you crit, 400% is already very good because crit gives you another multiplier. Okay, so this is like a good tree. I could even recommend this. This is just like I've redone some of the things I did last time. So again, decision making. What do I want to get? I want to get a solid amount of life. I want to get area here for utility. This is also, I want to get 3 endurance charges for more defense. I want to get X nodes here, get the fire node here, get some leech here, grab some life on the way over here, get some more attack speed here. And then like the tree draws itself basically. If you have like a good baseline concept, then you can draw the tree, almost draws itself. Alright, so if you want to do this alongside with me, please just try it out. Draw any tree you want. Start from a skill. Try to follow what I did in this video and post in the comments below. I will give you some feedback on it. If you want me to expand on any of this, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to focus on gearing exactly this character next time and going through all the gear sockets I would do. Alright. Areo out.